JICA lecture series of Japanese development experience to date, in line with JICA Global Agenda. Cooperation strategies by development issues. Japan's experience in energy and mining development. Part 2. Mining. Hosoi Yoshitaka, Senior Advisor, JICA. Visiting Lecturer for Hokkaido, Akita, and Kyushu Universities.
Metals produced from mineral resources are essential to the development of human civilization. Located in the most upstream position of industry, they are widely used not only in manufacturing but also in construction, civil engineering, decoration, currency, and all other economic activities. Today, more than ever, a wide variety of metals have become essential for advanced technologies. A sustainable and stable supply of these various metals is critical to the development of the world economy. Countries with mineral resources need to focus on maximizing their development potential, both for themselves and for the world. The history of metal utilization is long, and the use of gold and copper can be seen in the Middle East, Europe, China, and other parts of the world from around 3000 BC. Japan has also produced a variety of minerals in various regions since ancient times, and was one of the world's leading mining countries in terms of variety and production volume. Large-scale use of copper in Japan can be seen from the 8th century when it was used for coin minting and the construction of the Great Buddha statue. After that, successive administrations continued to develop mines in various regions, focusing on gold, silver, and copper. For example, the Sado gold mine was one of the world's top gold mines in the 17th century, and the Iwami silver mine was the world's third largest producer in the 18th century. It is also assumed that Japan was the world's top producer of copper in the late 17th century, and the Matsuo mine, which produces sulfur useful as gunpowder and fertilizer, was the top producer in Asia in the first half of the 20th century. In this way, Japan has long enjoyed rich mineral resources, which have been the basis for the country's development. In the Edo period, from the 17th to the 19th century, the government implemented a national isolation policy. After about 200 years of this policy, the Meiji government was established as a modern nation in the mid-19th century. With its policies of Fukokkyohei, enriching the country and strengthening the military, and the Shokusan Kogyo, promoting new industry, the Meiji government also focused on the development of the mining industry. The government believed that mining was essential for economic development and the basis for developing and diversifying various industries. To this end, the government promoted the modernization of the mining industry, which had lagged behind during the period of isolation. It designated some of the government-owned mines as model mines and invited mining engineers from Western countries to come and share their expertise. Efforts were thus made to acquire technology that would modernize the Japanese mining industry. Most visiting engineers stayed for about 10 years, during which time they worked to spread their technology. After that, Japanese engineers took over the development of the mining industry. In the latter half of the 19th century, as the government's finances deteriorated, factories and mines that had been managed by the government were sold to the private sector. By today's standards, this procedure of privatization was unclear, and it seemed to be used as a tool in political struggles as well. Collusion and corruption between the government and private companies were also suspected in some cases. On the other hand, the government did not limit its sale of factories and mines to specific companies. Rather, it dispersed sales among multiple companies, thereby spreading the technologies developed in government-owned factories and mines. These private companies leveraged the acquired mining technology and streamlined their operations. They acquired other small and medium-sized mines and expanded their mining business. The funds and technology gained through the mining business also produced a variety of new industries and businesses. Many peripheral industries related to the mining industry also developed. For example, mechanical engineering expertise was accumulated by developing and repairing mining machinery. And electrical engineering know-how was nurtured through the development of power plants and electrical equipment. Many of today's major electronics companies were born as such peripheral industries. In this way, the technology and funds obtained by the mining business fostered new industries. With these industries as the core, JICA's industrial conglomerates were formed and became the driving force of the Japanese economy. With economic development, the need for mineral resources and energy increased further, and Japan began to look for them beyond its borders. In particular, insufficient oil production in Japan created a national crisis. In fact, the US oil embargo against Japan was one of the factors leading to the Pacific War. After the war ended in 1945, Japan was occupied by the GHQ, the general headquarters of the Supreme Commander for the Allied Powers. The GHQ ordered the dismantling of the JICA to curb Japan's national power. The mining industry was therefore separated from the JICA and managed independently. On the other hand, in order to rebuild the war-ravaged land and economy, the production of metals, especially iron and coal, were considered the top priorities. Therefore, the rebuilding of metal and coal production capability was promoted intensively through the priority production system, in which the coal and steel industries were given first priority. Funds, materials, and labor were also invested in these industries on a priority basis. Iron was needed in the reconstruction of all industries in the form of construction materials for the manufacture of machinery and more. Coal, the only energy source that could be produced in Japan, was also necessary for the production of iron, and its production had to be increased. As a result of the priority production system, many coal mines recovered quickly, and coal production increased. In addition, sulfur production was expanded as a raw material for fertilizer to increase food production. Iron sulfide mines also recovered as a result. With increased production of iron and coal, Japan achieved post-war reconstruction and entered a period of rapid economic growth. At the same time, the Japanese mining industry began to face various challenges. Japan's economy had developed steadily, and with it, the need for mineral and energy resources had increased. Japan required a large amount of ore to produce metals such as iron and copper, but domestic ore production could no longer meet the demand. As a result, Japan began to look beyond its borders for such resources and promoted overseas mine development and ore purchase. As early as around 1960, 3/4 of iron ore and half of copper ore were imported from overseas. The rise of mining production cost in Japan encouraged that trend. It was necessary to dig deeper to reach ore deposits in Japan, and these deposits were too small to support large-scale mining and mechanization. Meanwhile, the development of large-scale overseas mines had lowered mining costs, which enabled Japan to obtain large quantities of ore from abroad at a low cost. As a result, mines in Japan lost their competitiveness and gradually closed, heightening the country's dependence on overseas mineral resources. Nevertheless, Japan's mining industry itself did not disappear. Although the mines were no longer mining, the smelters remained in Japan and continued to produce metals using mineral resources from overseas. These mining companies were maintaining and expanding their business by specializing in the downstream of the mining industry. In this way, these companies played an important role in supporting Japan's high economic growth. In addition, Japan's primary energy source shifted from coal to petroleum, which is easier to handle. The share of coal as an energy source continued to decline. In terms of production cost, coal mines in Japan could no longer compete with coal and oil imported from overseas and gradually closed. In response to the closure of the mines, the government took various measures to promote the economy in coal mining regions by re-employing workers, encouraging industrial conversion, and more. As the economy developed, pollution started becoming an issue. Minamata disease is one of the conditions linked to industrial pollution. The mining industry also contributed to pollution through dirty wastewater, contaminated soil, and smoke from smelting. Let me share a few cases. In the Ashio region north of Tokyo, a mining pollution incident occurred in the 1870s due to mining wastewater and soil pollution from the Ashio copper mine. and the incident led to a lawsuit. The company responded by building a wastewater treatment facility upstream and a regulating reservoir downstream to mitigate this pollution. In the 1950s, there was also an outbreak of a disease linked to pollution called itai disease that affected residents living in the lower reaches of the Jinsu River in Toyama Prefecture. The cause of the disease, which leads to bone breakage, was suspected to be the cadmium in wastewater discharged from the Kamioka mine located upstream. The government requires the mine to treat the wastewater and improve the soil in the downstream area. In addition, acidic water ran off from the Matsuo sulfur mine, which began operations in the early 1900s, became a problem. The mining company was treating the acidic water, and after the mine closed, the government constructed an acidic water neutralization facility in 1982. Government wastewater treatment is still ongoing. As I have explained, the development of the mining industry in Japan created pollution which caused suffering for many citizens. To respond to the situation in 1890, the government established a mining supervision system. In 1939, it included operator liability for compensation as part of the mining law, thereby establishing a system to regulate mining pollution. The government continued to strengthen the system in response to the situation of mining pollution and also introduced a system of financial subsidies for mining pollution prevention work, thereby promoting countermeasures against mining pollution in closed mines. The technologies and systems developed through reflection on and countermeasures against these mining pollution problems have enabled Japan to become world-renowned for its environmentally friendly mining and industrial development. Finally, let's talk about Japan's current mining business and future initiatives. Discussions and efforts to become a carbon-neutral society are gaining momentum around the world. As a result, there have been major changes in the usage of coal, oil, and natural gas. A carbon-neutral society makes use of advanced technology, such as storage, batteries, electric vehicles, and AI-equipped devices to produce the motors, semiconductors, and other components used in such technology. Various metals called critical metals are indispensable. Responding to the increasing demand for these metal resources and stably supplying them is important for achieving carbon neutrality and developing advanced equipment. For this reason, the Japanese government and private companies are working together in a variety of ways to achieve this. The recycling of metal resources is also key to a carbon-neutral society. Japan has already closed most of its domestic mines and domestic resource production has decreased. However, efforts have begun to extract useful metals from disposed electronic devices such as cell phones and digital cameras, which are called urban mines. This is being done by applying technology developed in the smelting industry, which originates from the mining industry. Gold, silver, copper, lead, tin, antimony, platinum group metals, and more have already been extracted from electronic devices collected as recycled products, which have achieved commercial success. Medals for the Tokyo Olympic Games held in 2021 were also made from materials obtained from urban mines, and high expectations for the effective use of mineral resources exist for the future. As I have already mentioned, metal resources have played an important role in economic development and will become more important in the future to realize a carbon-neutral society. On the other hand, despite their variety, metal resources are not found everywhere. Rather, they are unevenly distributed in limited areas of the Earth. Therefore, it is extremely important that these metal resources are well developed in a stable manner and supplied to the global market for the development of the global economy. As we have seen in the experience of Japan, it is also important to utilize the wealth and technology generated from mineral resource development to develop other industries, and consequently regional and national economies as well. In order to learn from Japan's experience systematically in this area, JICA is implementing a long-term training course called the Kizuna program. In this program, government officials, researchers, and technicians from resource-rich developing countries are invited to Japan to participate in master's or doctoral programs at Japanese graduate schools. Along with academic research, the program is designed to provide students with a comprehensive overview of mining development and the ability to tackle it through a special program such as mining policy, resource management, and resource economics. Learning from Japan's experience, JICA would like to work with these countries to develop mineral resources that will contribute to the economic development of their countries and the world economy as well. Thank you for your attention.
Japan, known as Zipangu, the land of gold, has long been a country blessed with mining resources and has developed its economy through the mining industry. It has developed as an industrialized country by utilizing the capital and technology cultivated through the mining industry in other fields as well. In the process, Japan has faced many challenges such as corruption, mining pollution, accidents, and industrial transformation. But it has a history of overcoming these challenges by improving its systems and technologies. As the world economy continues to develop, the mining industry will continue to play an important role, and JICA will continue to contribute to the growth of developing countries and the world economy by promoting mining development together with developing countries, focusing on human resource development. Japan has modernized from a non-Western background to establish a free, democratic, prosperous, and peace-loving nation. In this sense, Japan is one of the best development models for the developing countries and regions today. In addition, Japan has contributed to economic growth in many developing countries, especially in Asia. Therefore, we would like to share with you Japan's unique experience of modernization, which is different from Western countries, and cooperation for developing countries through this video material. This video series provides a comprehensive summary by development issue according to the lineup of JICA's cooperation strategy called the JICA Global Agenda.